just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
His sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, poops joke, hot ones.
He should be stood outside Hillsborough, stocks having rock fruit thrown at him.
Sheffield is a place like no other.
Low on the far post, it's cut back instead for Smith. Oh, a sensational goal! The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. My apologies, because I endeavour every week to keep high tone, high energy, and high pace, and high... Oh, it's not working for me. Yesterday was a hell of a day, and thank you to everybody that joined us in our what's apparently our inaugural Owls in the Yard get-together. I am on the worst hangover anybody's ever had, and I don't want to sit here and start talking about drinking stories, but I now understand what the hype around is around Blue Hooch. Well done, Chaz, on pointing that out to us. And Holly's addiction to tequila rosé, H.
Yeah, and then bizarre measures that we had. I liked that. They're the kind of shots that I like.
Simon, you were driving yesterday, so you're on a catch-up tonight. So I expect you to get Monty Dangerous talking to John Hartstrunk tonight.
I've got work tomorrow, but I'm on a rant. I'm on a rant. People were saying yesterday, I love it when you get drunk because you have a rate rant. So
come on,
there's one in there.
Let's do it. Stevie, how are you, mate? How are you feeling? Because I am tender. Trying to meet you in town for a beer after was ambitious, to say the least.
Yeah, it was ambitious on your part. I could see you. I think I went to the bar and came back, and you were just becoming a shell of your former self. It was a long day yesterday, wasn't it? But yeah. I'm still coming down. If I'm honest with you, I'm still coming down. It's not just the drink; it's the entire. We'll get into it. The entire day itself was just mind blowing, and it's still doesn't seem real. It's still. I'm sitting here tonight. It's a bit surreal, all of it, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about that later on, and those guys that came. I can't thank you enough. However, we've got yet another timeline of terror, and Stevie's notes seem to get longer and longer. And what I've realised, Stevie, as well, is that I don't think this is your fault. This is just how the summer's been for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, as I keep saying every week, that we're scratching around for something to talk about during the summer, and it's been all right this summer. We've done all right. Right then. So first order of business. Once we'd wrapped up last week, once we'd finished last week, Danny Rohl's departure was announced. Where do you sit on that, H? Because on one hand, you've got I'm glad he's gone the snake. He was working hard to get another job. On the other hand, you're like, it was untenable circumstances, and there was some big contract dealings to try and sort out, et al. I mean, he's one of the better coaches we've had over the last 25 years, and it's just sad how it's come about, right?
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all. I'm firmly in the camp that as soon as he started not wanting to be here, I'd lost it, and I just thought it might as well have just gone then. And then it dragged out, which might not be his fault. It might be, like you say, him having less offers than he thought and believing his own hype a little bit more than others. But it just dragged on that long. And then for the club to put up pictures of him in training and the players to have a couple of awkward training sessions and then him leave, I just don't understand what that was about at all. But yeah, no, once he didn't want to be here, it just proves that contracts mean nothing really in football, do they? Because if they've decided it's over, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, not returning back to work is kind of breach of contract, but he'll go, no, it's your fault. He'll say, no, it's his fault. And then I think they've just drawn a line under the sand. Annoyingly, through all of this, the club's not got a penny from his departure, Stevie. So in the same press release, Chris Powell, Neil Thompson, Sal Bibbo were all confirmed as having left, even though Sal Bibbo was announced like a month ago, and probably had a hand to play in Jerry Gassama and the link with Piers Charles in that. And then Rohl did quite a nice little Instagram post. Do you reckon it was a bit of kayfabe, Stevie?
Yeah, 100% kayfabing all the way. Kayfabing all the way, baby. like Holly says, he's come back, and it was very much for show, and it all seemed very, very forced in terms of the images that you could see of him on the training ground. The thing that sticks with me is this lack of compensation, and there were opportunities, and I think you can go forward a few days, and there was a release over the weekend where somebody had said, I think it was Wolfsburg had come in and offered $1 million, and we turned that down as well. And knowing everything that was going in, there was this little bit of a sort of a metaphorical Mexican standoff. Nobody was gonna win here, and because certain people have been more stubborn than they needed to be, and he's now walked away from the club. And I do believe his position was effectively untenable, and it is regretful because I do believe he's the best manager that we've had, certainly since we've come out of the Premier League. And we've lost him for nothing, and it's a sour taste in our mouth because of the whole timeline, if you like, from sort of November, December time onwards. And people will talk about him signing the contract and that he knew what he was getting into. I can't get away from the fact that he must have been told that things were coming, things would be different, things would happen, haven't happened. And I think that's a major issue for me, because I think he signed a contract on the belief that he would get more than, in terms of support from above, he'd get more than he was ever going to get. And Chancery's lied and backed him into a corner, basically.
I think there's an element of that. And then, Simon, on the bottom of Danny Rohl's post, Deschamps Bernard wrote, "You deserve better." Just absolutely just stirring that pot. I mean, what are your views on it? So I can, we can go to the comments and see what everybody else has got to say, because I can imagine them being quite mixed.
I think he engineered his departure from the club pretty much from... He made the decision, didn't he? I think in January, when people started sniffing around him, that he didn't want to be at the club. He'd signed onto a contract which, in the grand scheme of things, I think he already knew he was signing up to a complete shit show with our chairman, because I think he'd already been open to non-payment of wages prior to him signing the contract. I think he then realised that, hang on a minute, there's better than this. His stock was put up last year when he was at the World Cup in Germany, and he's always had. And you know what? Somebody in that sort of position has to have an amount of arrogance. But it was like the unstoppable object meeting the immovable object in regards to Chancery and him, and it was only going to ever end up one way. The bizarre thing was, like H alluded to, was photographs of him at training. It was like, oh, please take me, Leicester. Oh, please take me, Southampton. Oh, please take me. And then no fucker wanted him. Excuse my French with the F word straight away. Oh, I've got to come back with my tail between my legs. And nobody wanted him at S6 either, in all honesty. Maybe Dijon was dropping the old wind-ass sort of tweet in there. But from what we gather is he wasn't particularly liked by many of the other players either.
Yeah, it does seem like...
What I don't understand, right? Fair enough. In January, people came in for him and we kept him. In theory, that were a good thing. We managed to keep him instead of him going. Everybody wanted that at that time. And now he's gone for nothing. But that's, like I say, that contracts don't mean anything. Years gone by, if a player decided they didn't want to play for you, you play him in the reserves and let him rot, and that's it, because we own you, and that's what happens.
I miss them days
anymore with players or managers. If they just don't want to be there, the contract means nothing. So really, what that says is, anytime anyone comes in for anyone, we've just got to go, yeah, fair enough. Because, do you know, like Marvin Johnson, he's gone for nothing. Ipswich offered $1 million for him a couple of years ago. Should we have taken that? Where do you draw the line? Just accept anything for anybody? Because if not, at some point they might go for free if they get Monk on. In theory, what he should have done, I mean, Marv admittedly did have the Monk on for a bit, but then he got back with it. In theory, that's on Danny's integrity to just completely down tools from that point onwards. Football is a very fickle game. If he'd have been committed to the club as he was prior to that, maybe we would have got in the playoffs, and then maybe loads of clubs would have actually come in for him, even if we were letting him go for free. But as it happens, there's probably another manager who pulled it out of the fire January to May, and anyone who was looking at Danny prior to January is now looking at them, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think it could have just committed to us for a bit and then thought, win summer, I'm out of here.
Sounds like it sounds like a lot of the Wednesday fans are like my dad, like we like benefit of hindsight. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if your parents ever said this to you when you've got an issue or something's gone wrong, and they always say that it's a real Yorkshire thing where they go, "What you should have done is this." Thanks. Here's what you should have done. Thanks, bro. You know what I mean? Stevie, let's go to some comments and then let's get into Tuesday.
Yeah, so we've had a fair bit of response in terms of Rohl and the contractual situation and him going, kicking off with Terry Hibbard, who has said that he showed his knickers in every Woolworths window available. His actions spoke louder than his words, despite it being an easy out with the show of brown stuff employing him. Interesting. And then we've got Ashley Green, who has said it feels like we actively try and get as little money as possible for anyone that leaves. And then we've got our good old friend, Röhl McMurgle, who I gave a big hug to yesterday. Saw him yesterday. He went out of his way to thank me for being able to pronounce his name right. Chandler's reverse Midas touch, in effect. And then Dunderbird has been on. You'd have to be a Wednesdayite or a bit crackers to stay as our manager right now. I reckon our new Viking Raider is in the latter camp. And then just on the last one there, Rob Shirley. Here we go. Classic chance here, losing money on loads of players, and now the manager, due to his greed and lack of ability to negotiate.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening which are very much born out of spite. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things happening. Now, this for me was really sad news, Simon, that Neil Thompson's departure from the club is quietly announced, and the club put it was put in the statement alongside Danny Rohl. This is dead sad. How many managers has he worked for, Stevie? I know it's in the notes somewhere. How many managers have we had working over Neil Thompson?
14 years of service. He's worked under Megson, Jones, Stuart Gray, Gary Monk, Tony Pulis, Darren Moore, and Danny Rohl. So also held the reins himself, hasn't he, as well, into that game where he brought everybody back that somebody had dropped. I can't remember who it was. Was it after Pulis had gone?
I think it was after Pulis, wasn't it? Was it
Pulis and also Lukai? Was he not the man that brought in Westwood and Hutch back after Lukai?
Yes. That's right. Yeah, he did that as well. I mean, this is sad, isn't it, Si?
Without a doubt, the guy's put 14 years into Sheffield Wednesday and pretty much managed at every level, including at first team level head coach. I just feel that there's been a clearing of the boards in regards to our chairman, and I don't know. I honestly don't know. Well, I do know why he's done it. Of course, I know why he's done it. He's done it because he wants to not pay people and he wants to save money. But he's cleared, and I'm sure we'll talk about the other coaches have gone as well, as specifically a certain Chris Powell. He's just basically cleared the decks of wages, and the guy has had no rewards, or he wasn't even, we'll step you back and put you in charge of academy or slightly above the academy, or anybody under Pedersen. It's just gone. These guys have just gone and just been thrown onto the tip with everybody else effectively. And I can only put it down to the fact of wages, that he's just reducing the wage bill to a point where he still can't afford to pay it, but it's slightly closer to what he still can't afford to pay.
Absolutely. And in an interview, there was an interview released with him where he speaks about his 14-year service, and he's effectively retiring to spend some time with his family, but he's going to look at taking on some part-time coaching roles, which I can't like. So
you can't fault him, can you, mate? You can't fault him.
If there's any Sunday League teams looking for a coach, then let's get involved. Now, new manager alert. We've got a new gaffer. Henrik Pedersen has been indicted into the fraternity of that long list of managers to work under Chansiri, but one of the first ones not to work with Neil Thompson.
I just think, you know what? Neil Thompson has been through 14 years of shit, and at this point he's drawn the line. So how bad is it now?
How bad is it? I mean, look at what Neil Thompson's endured the last 14 years, and this is the bit where he goes, sod this, I'm retiring.
Yeah. But do you know what? in for a penny, in for a pound. Just like I said, I'd completely dropped Danny at the drop of a hat. I'm all in on Pedersen now. Just so
Have you got
know.
one of those horned hats? You know what I mean?
No, I'm going to get a bald cap.
Bald cap. But that's because you want to go to a pitbull gig.
I'm absolutely going to get a bald cap. If we get any points between now and October, that's it.
Sorry, just to bring everybody in Holly's train of thought there, she's going to get a bald cap, and in her head, she's then straight leapt to the fact that she's going to look like she's at a pitbull gig, and then just start shaking her shoulders to the song Fireball. Am I right in that train of thought?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure he listens to the song Fireball all the time, like anybody that's bald.
Like anybody who's Danish and bald.
Yeah. Stevie, what are your thoughts on Pitbull?
Jesus Christ. Pitbull, yeah. He's
worldwide.
Formulaic walkabout / pop world music. I think somewhere in there. In terms of Pedersen, fine, no problem. He come in. I think there's a need for some sort of transition or smooth transition in. And if you listen to everything that's being said about him and his involvement behind the scenes, well, it's there. So he's put a statement up. I won't read all of it because it's quite long, but he talks about his reverence for the club and how happy he is and how proud he is to be part of Sheffield Wednesday management still, and he's signed a contract. He's incredibly proud to become manager of this wonderful football club. He's ticking the boxes into. Since arriving in Sheffield with my family, the city immediately felt like home. People are what make a city special, and the fans are what makes a football club special. To be staying in Sheffield managing this club is incredible. Supporters makes me very happy. And then he goes on to talk about how difficult it is. The main one, wasn't it, last week, was him and his Viking sort of heritage. Is this going to be easy? No. We are maybe in rough waters at the moment, but as a proud Dane, I can say that our Viking ancestors, stormy seas don't bother us too much. You have to get used to it, to the weather, to the storm, to get to calm.
Fighting talk.
It is fighting talk, isn't it? So.
Yeah. I'm all in. Also, we should get Pete Lohman on and just ask him if Sheffield Wednesday is better than being in Denmark. How bad is it in Denmark? You know what I mean?
The booze is cheaper, so
yeah. Must be that.
Bluch is £5 a can cheaper.
I'm just thinking, right? So Matt Strickland's put a comment up there saying, "Will Pedersen arrive by longboat on the Don up to the South Stand?" I'd really enjoy that if you just like knee up on the front, flag chest puffed out, coming in via the Don, or we brought him in like Nazim did that flying carpet thing, like just you know, we'll Americanize it, we'll come out the tunnel. Longboat.
Are we verging on the frozen pizzas de Canio thing here?
or not frozen, or cooked.
Play me out, Johnny.
What is this show?
Hold tight, kids, it's advert time.
I am really hungover and my thought process is not happening right now. Let's move on. Right then, Simon H, the captain's back. The captain's back, Simon. Now, on one hand, we are relying now on a 35-year-old wee man who's one of the best gifted footballers we've ever had at the club. But I felt last year, I'm going to be honest, I felt last year his legs had gone, and Danny wasn't afraid of hooking him if his legs had gone, which I was okay with. However, he's still our best player. what I want to do is talk about the measure of the man rather than the football inside of it, and that we should be really, as a club, be preparing for life outside Barry, because we can't. And this is the best news we were going to get this summer.
If ever there was a time, now was the time for Barry to do what he just did. So Stevie put a post up on Twitter, which I retweeted. I don't know what day it was, Thursday, something along the lines of that because there were rumours flying around that he wasn't going to sign, wasn't there? There was rumours that he was going to go elsewhere, and I actually, from a personal point of view, felt that would be the final nail in the coffin of Bannan going, because what he does do is he galvanizes the fans. He is a leader. I mean, we've criticised him many times in the past, but you know what? If you actually were to, I do believe this now, despite him being a Celtic fan, if you actually cut his veins, he would bleed blue and white. The lad is 100% Sheffield Wednesday, and if anybody is going to grasp, and I think we'll discuss the player statements, etc. If anything, what I'm seeing, and also what I saw on Sunday and what I saw at Tramlines last week, is this galvanizing of the fans, that we have now got a absolute 100% togetherness. And for Bannan to actually sign that contract, it brought a tear to my eye, because I'll be honest with you, I was sat up in Hepworth on Thursday night watching my lad trial for a football team up there, under 18s playing against a men's team. And there were a couple of Huddersfield Town fans in there talking about football, and then they started mentioning Wednesday. And I filled up, because it's starting to get to me now mentally, in regards to our club is being destroyed by one man. And then for Bannan to do that at the weekend and sign that, it really sort of galvanised how I felt, that we've now got a siege mentality. And the club, the manager, he seems to be very much on board with, obviously the manager made that statement about the Viking spirit and so on and so forth. Bannan doing that, for me, was probably better than us signing two players. Not that we would, because you can't pay them.
Yeah, there is an element of that, isn't there? I feel like I'm still gutted about Patterson. I don't know why. That one seemed to hit me quite hard. But I mean, to get Bannan over the line, I felt was mega. And Holly, this phrase here, where he was talking about his daughter Elsie crying that they might have to leave Sheffield.
Well, what we've learned is, he says she cried when he said they were leaving Wednesday, and she cried when he said they were staying. So any mention of Wednesday is making her cry, which absolutely same.
Sounds like me. Sounds like me.
Same. And then there was a statement from Stevie, a statement from Barry there saying that we had a lot of conversations about the family and stuff like that. And I think Holly wrote in our chat, didn't she? What did your son say about it? Because that really made me laugh.
What about the contract?
About the contract.
Oh, Charlie said, "What does the contract look like?" And I said, "Well, it's usually a bit of paper we're writing on," which is
parenting 101 there from.
But he said something about Pedersen stepping up when we needed him as well, didn't he? He made a point that he'd done that, and then obviously Bannan's done that, and we have spent the last couple of years saying, "Oh, look at those boys on that picture there." We spent the last couple of years saying, how do we build a team without Bannan? And now we've got the exact opposite of that. And he's the only person who's just going to be like on the old Bugs Bunny, where he plays every position and he's trying to do everything. Bless him. But, and I personally, to do a Dan Fudge disclaimer thing, I personally have criticised Bannan before, and a while ago said that he didn't care about us, and clearly he has proved me wrong. And I genuinely cannot believe that he has signed.
Yeah, I must admit,
he could get out of jail free, go. Do you know what I mean? For everybody, but I can't.
He's been one of my favourite players over recent years, but now he's signed that contract for this season. Build the statue. I'm all in. Stevie, what have you got to say about it and what the comments saying?
I'd reiterate what you just said there. I think in 2025 to find that level of loyalty is almost unheard of. It's unparalleled, isn't it? And people can take the piss and you can say this and that about what's going on, and lots of people will make sort of light of the situation, but there is no way. And we've talked in the past about how much money Barry Bannan's earning from a sort of weekly salary, an annual salary, whatever it may be, bonuses and so forth, that he has taken a significant wage cut to stay at the shit show that is Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, we can talk about his daughter, we can talk about his family and everything else, and that plays a huge contributing factor. But he is one of us. He's one of us now. He's a Wednesdayite, and we know that he's come from, obviously, a Scottish man that's come from a background of supporting Celtic, but you don't do what he's done unless you are, you're all in, and he deserves all the credit in the world. And when we talk about people building statues and so forth, he's right at the front of the queue as far as I'm concerned. I cannot believe that he's done what he's done, because he had opportunities to go. He spoke about that in his statement, and he could have very well gone. And if you want to believe what was being put out there, he was literally hours away from signing a contract with another club that would have seen him better paid, definitely playing at a higher level in terms of championship status this season. He said no to all of it to try and galvanise the group of players. He doesn't even know who he's going to be working with on, if the game goes ahead on Sunday, which we'll get on to. We've signed no players, we've lost 14, we've got a squad of 15 players, and we've got a man who's probably got, realistically, 2 years worth of reasonable earning potential for his family. And he said, rather than set my family up elsewhere, with decent money, I'm going to stay at Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm going to go to battle for this club. And I cannot put into words how special that is in modern football. I think it's absolutely phenomenal.
Let's get into the comments.
He seems like a really normal guy as well. Do you know, It's been the summer and not everyone's putting that they're on holiday and stuff. And I mean, he hasn't been paid, I suppose, but he's at Cleethorpes Beach and stuff with his kids. And you just think, who does that when you could go wherever you want? Like you say, Steve, he could have gone and set his family up and stuff, but they've proper bought into Wednesday and what it's all about, and as a family.
Yeah, and I think just on that, before we get to the comments, I think people can deride sort of things that you see on social media, but it's not just him, is it? It's Chloe as well. She's clearly very passionate about the Wednesday fan base. I know that she's got strong connections with the women's supporters group, is an ally of theirs, and I think that deserves a lot of credit as well. So this isn't just somebody who's here for a payday. This is somebody who wants what's best for the football club that we all support. And if you're a Wednesdayite watching tonight, they are literally one of us. So in terms of comments, Rob Shirley has been back on. Bannan is an exceptionally good footballer, an exceptionally good human being. His loyalty is not normal in football. I think we just touched on that there, haven't we? He's certainly not going to be a mercenary, is he? It may contradict, Jay Blogs, it may contradict something that I've said in the past, but Bazza is an absolute legend. More kudos than Hirsch, Sheridan, Pearson and Waddle. You can look at that in, it's a little bit of sort of modernised, or whatever you want to call it, in terms of people looking at it from a current point of view. But there's a conversation to be had of him being the biggest legend that we've got as a player since we've come out that sort of
those three players. Those three players, for the best part of 30-odd years, have always been revered as like the top three boys. Sheridan Waddle. I think this contract signing, he's the fourth man. He's the fifth Beatle.
Do you remember when I put that post on Facebook a couple of years ago about who is the legend between Sheridan and Hurst? And Facebook nearly went down, didn't it? In regards to, sorry, Sheridan and Bannan. Sheridan and Bannan. And you know what? A lot as water has gone under the bridge.
Dig it back out, Simon, and repost it.
Let's repost it, because the man is a legend. The man is a legend. Not taking anything away from Shezza, but the commitment he's shown to the club, especially over the last few weeks. Well, look, let's face it, the guy was training with us and wasn't getting paid. I mean, I know a lot of he had no contract with us. He had no reason to turn up and run those lengths in that pitch with any of our players.
Just doing the cop run and going, I don't even go here. What the fuck am I doing? Carry on, Stevie.
So Bob Bennett, just comment on the screen at the moment. Even if his legs are gone, he's a talisman for the fans and those young players in the dressing room. And that's something that we're really going to need to dig into, isn't it? Because we may have a spine of a club, a spine of a starting 11 for those first games at the start of the season. But he's going to need to be able to sort of get around those young players, because we will be calling on them. If we don't sign anybody between now and sort of Thursday, Friday, we are playing 11 players with 4 subs and a group of kids that are making up the numbers. So, that's the harsh reality of where we are with things at the moment. And then just to sort of finally reiterate, Marco Arthur, Baz has shown some loyalty even beyond some of our fans, a true modern Wednesday legend.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. Now, that was some kind of good news. Let's move into some trash news. Something we discussed a little bit last week. We played out the clip as well, and I think we discussed it on TalkSport 2 at 5 p.m. Every Thursday. Get involved on the Dan Fudd Show. But we discussed the North Stand. The North Stand not fit for purpose, didn't get a certificate. We talked at depth about how we would reshuffle the fans who've paid different prices and stuff like that. Holly, someone might keep an eye on that spare seat now. What if somebody gets moved into that? Because I've got a cheeky spare seat and all. I don't want somebody sat there. There's not enough space anyway.
Nobody wants to sit there.
No, you
That'll
are
be
correct.
next protest because it's that bad of a view.
Got to sit next to you. Yeah. Yeah, especially now Michael Smith ain't running over there anymore. We're not bothered. We're not bothered.
No.
But Jill Furness, the Labour MP for Brightside and Hillsborough, did a hang on. She shared a letter that they'd written to Dejphon Chansiri asking for clarity on a number of questions. This is official now. This is official. We're a long way past Clive Betts making a comment in Parliament. This is actually garnering some. There's some clout here now. There's some, it's not a passionate fan. And again, not a dig at Clive Betts. I think I've got another retraction to make, actually, that you mentioned, Holly. I've just realised. I've just remembered something. But yeah, Jill Furness has written to Chansiri, and the focus obviously turns to the thousands of season ticket holders that are going to get distributed across the ground, who may or may not have paid either too much for where they're going to get sat or not enough for where they're going to get sat, which will either pee them off that they're going to sit next to, as we discussed at length last week, and then after that, the trust followed up the press statement by announcing plans for protests for the games away at Leicester and at home to Stoke. It looks like the process is continuing. We were worried, weren't we, as fans, Simon, that whether we were going to take the heat off because it would come to the end of the season, and then the protests have started back up. Are you less angry or more angry than you were at, let's say, Watford at the last game of the season?
More angry, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think anybody could.
I don't begrudge anybody a protest now. Before I'm like,
no.
Is that really the way? Now I'm like, get on it.
I think with the protests, because I've seen obviously what's planned for Sunday at Leicester, and I think this is my opinion. Obviously, this isn't a podcast opinion or anything like that. This is my opinion. Simon, living in Northampton, season ticket holder, 54 years old, is that I might not wholly... The fan experience of going to watch Wednesday at away games is beers with friends, having a laugh, this, that, and they go in and sing songs. I think we need to all get on board with the fact that I think we all need to be united. So it's that siege mentality, the fact that really...
I don't want to be united.
I don't want to be united.
We don't want to be united.
I think
united in the terms of aligned.
Aligned. We need to be partisan in regards to, we might not like the trust, or you might like the trust. I don't know. My opinion is ambivalent in regards to that. But I think that we need to start showing that. We need to do something, and we cannot no longer go in and go, it'd be right, because it's not going to be right. So I might not necessarily agree with not going in 5 minutes after the kickoff, but I feel we have to, because we have to show that unity as a club and as fans to basically show the world, because it will be the world, because it's Sky, that we have that solidarity, and that's what we have to do. We have to do it, and we have to. Right, I'm going to go on a bit of a soapbox. Right, sorry. We have to not buy football shirts. Right, okay. So at OT yesterday, I saw 2 of the official shirts. Great, if you want to buy them, that's fine. But my opinion is, don't spend any money with the club. My son, who's 17, old enough to make his own decision, has said to me, I'm buying a sandwich before I go in and some pop before I go in. I'm not buying anything in the club. We need to have to show this solidarity to say enough is enough. Now, I understand the fact that if we don't spend money with the club, then he isn't going to pay the players and pay the staff. But you know what? I think if we bought 3,000 shirts, he still wouldn't pay them, because I don't know where this money's going, and I don't think this money is going to pay the players. I think it is literally going elsewhere. So at the end of the day, we have to start standing up for ourselves. That unity of what we've already spoken about, that siege mentality. Go to the games. Don't buy tickets. I mean, how many people are going to go to the Bolton game, the cup game? I mean, that's the first question. Anybody here going to buy a ticket for the
No,
Bolton
I've got some paint to watch dry.
Well, that's your
probably
choice. I'm
I'm
not.
going.
I'm not.
Fair
No,
enough.
Why not?
Why not?
Out of curiosity, why not?
Out of curiosity, why not? I'm not giving him any more of my money. I gave him nearly £1,000 in January, and that's disappeared. Gave him nearly £1,000 for my season ticket and Ethan's season ticket. That has disappeared. It's gone. Don't know where it's gone. It's not being invested correctly in the club. It has disappeared. The guy needs to run this club correctly. He needs to invest correctly. And if it's not invested, where has the money gone? And I'm not willing to put any more money into the club. If he's still in charge in January, I am not buying a season ticket. And I've been a season ticket holder now. Ethan is 17. So I've had one for 17 years with him. And prior to that, I've had them in the Cop and the North Stand and so on and so forth. I'm not willing to put my money into that football club while that man is in charge, because he has no consideration for Sheffield Wednesday fans. He does not give a shit about Sheffield Wednesday fans. Full stop.
I totally agree with you in terms of your sentiment towards Chancery, and I understand that. One thing I would say, and I am. This is coming from a place of love because I like you, Simon. We get on. You're going to Leicester on Sunday, aren't you?
I am.
So how come you're going to buy a ticket to go to Leicester but not Bolton?
Because a majority of the money from that ticket goes to Leicester Football Club and not to Chancery.
Yeah, it's the ticket funding split.
But
With it being a cup game, you get more, don't you?
So, given everything that's happened, and that my next question was, if we're saying we're not going to go to cup games or whatever games in terms of splits and everything else, you've also then said, and I know this because I know you, we bike ridden, we've walked, we've done all sorts, we spent all day together yesterday. I get you and Ethan and your experience and everything else, and this is something that I think the division for a lot of people, and I've talked about previously, the division for a lot of people comes from your match day experience away from being a supporter of Sheffield Wednesday and the more holistic approach. And this is something that I had strong feelings about. My day is Molly will go and play football or basketball. She'll go to lunch. We'll go for lunch. We'll meet mates. We'll go down to the ground. I'm with you. I'm not bothered about going to the fan zone. I'm not bothered about spending money on the kiosk, because to that end, I totally agree. But that experience of me spending, because I work stupid hours when I'm not on school holidays in the summer. I work Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's just what it is. And if people know what teachers are like, they'll know that that's what you do. When I get to Friday night, I decompress. I'm done. And I want to get to Saturday morning. And my weekend is right. My daughter, time with the family, spending time with my girls, spending that match day, meeting my sister, meeting my best mate, who I don't see enough of because we're very, very busy people. When are we going to get to that point where we can say, right, that is a small price that you've got to pay to go and do that? I'm offering it as an argument for balance.
But that's the thing, like a lot of people, for their mental health or just their general well-being, that 90 minutes is a 90-minute holiday from the shit that they have all week in it. And even with the North Stand stuff, who you sit with at the games, you might not even know who they are, like what they're called, what their job is or whatever. But I've had a season ticket for 25 years. People have seen me grow up from being a little kid to bringing my own son, who's now obviously a heathen, but bringing my own son. And you have that special connection with the people that you sit with. The people who are now moving from the North Stand, all those connections that they have are going to be all over the ground, aren't they? And that's I
think my thoughts are here is that I am fully on board with the league games, but a Tuesday night at Hillsborough, and I've been like you, Steve, been working all day. I go home. Bear in mind, I work a stone's throw from the ground. I go all the way home, have some tea, pick my lad up, and go all the way to the ground. I don't mind it, but for a cup game on a Tuesday night against Bolton, where it's cash, people are paying over and above the season ticket. Don't get me wrong. Sunday, I'm going to love Sunday. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to see a lot of people I know, have a good time. Stoke game, do the same. We'll have a few beers beforehand. But I think my line here is the additional games that I've not paid for. I am not willing to give him any more of my money. So I'm not.
Right.
So the shirt, the away shirt, the beers, excuse my French, fuck him. He's not having my money.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's wrap this up with some comments then, Stevie.
Oh, I've got to moderate comments as well, haven't I? I forgot about.
Sorry, mate. I tell you what. I want Holly. Your point. I agree with as well. That like for example, Tom Burton. I wouldn't have met if I'd have not got the season ticket. I randomly sit next to him at Hillsborough and we got chatting, and all of a sudden, we become good mates. And he had a really good day yesterday at Owls in the Yard, like, you know what I mean? And I love the way that you've started calling me Oity as well, Simon. I love that's it's working. It's working. That's what he said. Did you go to Oity? I like that. I kind of like it.
Harpo's been on. Anyone in the South with an attitude of I paid more for this stand, it's not fair, needs to get some perspective.
Yeah, that's a fair comment.
That's again, it's a divisive comment. People are going to have opinions. People are going to have viewpoints. I've no real dog in the fight, but I do sit on the South, and I paid more money than people on the North. I'm sure. Rob Shirley, I'm still processing the news that you're only 54, Si. I had to get
Rob.
that one out.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that because I'm a fucking Wednesday fan. That's why I look so old.
What 30 seconds that was. I rate
it. Yeah. Cheers.
Stevie's middle class and Simon looks older than he is. Like, come on, lads. Come on.
I don't think I look bad.
Let's dig one Ollie out now. You know what I mean? Let's get them all out.
We were getting on. Simon was getting onto this rant, and I was suddenly really conscious that I'd spied that comment. And while he's going through this really serious thing, I'm still there, shoulders moving up and down, chuckling away because somebody just called him out. We've got Seller page on Facebook. The protest is wrong, in my opinion. We should all be in the stand singing loud and proud at kickoff, all about DC and banners, etc. Then go to the concourse at kickoff for 5-10 minutes. That's a viewpoint in terms of the protest that we'll probably discuss in a little while. But it's just
to be fair, yeah. We'll go on to it, I suppose. But whoever steps out on the pitch against Leicester,
it's not their fault.
I mean, it's going to be a baptism of fire for them lads, because some of them, I think, will have just signed professional contracts and then today you're playing at Leicester. But they do deserve some kind of recognition for. Yeah,
they deserve that walkout, don't they? Especially at home at Hillsborough, they deserve that walkout to have. This is the first time they could have played. A lot of them are children, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And like the kids, Liam Palmer and Barry Bannan. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what it's going to be. And we should give them that. I agree with that to an extent, and I feel like getting the mix right is important. And I feel like they've done that with the protests. It all started a long time before the game started. But I'm just going to move on slightly because this is abhorrent to me. It was later reported on Thursday last week that the academy scholars, the 16 to 18-year-olds, had not even paid their £1,000 to get for the month for July. We'd not even paid them. That for me is abhorrent. So whatever shred of sympathy we might have had for you, DC, that that you've been advised wrong. It's done. It's absolutely. I was 98% chancery out. Now I'm like, nah, you've not paid the kids. You didn't even pay the. I'd already done with you when you didn't pay the shop staff and the people that work hard to protect the reputation of a football club. That is abhorrent to me. And then there was considerations that the EFL might not pay us the TV money. Because they didn't trust Chancery to spend it right. It's nice that the EFL are considering some stuff. How about you do something? Look at Morecambe today, for example. Do something. You're not fit for purpose. And then I don't want to mock this too much, right? Stevie, you're more pragmatic than me. I'm going to pass this over to you. But this Tommy Craig video. I love. He's a passionate Wednesday fan. I'm not going to mock him. And he's got a high profile, and he wants to use that profile for the club. Fine. I just found the Prince William comment a bit odd. But then when the Lionesses won the Euros, we know that Prince William's the football ambassador, isn't he? So I understand it. I you know what I mean? Can you just give me a brief overview of that without me chiming in?
What, as in terms of what happened or what I think about it?
Both.
So it landed sort of Thursday afternoon, wasn't it? And before we get into it, this was last Thursday, which was literally 4 days ago. It feels like 4 months ago, doesn't it, when this happened?
Yeah.
Danny Rohl feels like he left last year.
Yeah.
So sort of, I'd say it was about tea time, wasn't it? 5 o'clock-ish. The local journos have been asked by Tommy Craig to share this post, and it's about 4 minutes long. And he's sitting in Canada, I think it is, and he's appealing to the better nature of people around the club. But I actually felt that it started really well. And when I watched it, I got really emotional about the fact that he was talking about his 5 generations of Sheffield Wednesday fan. He's a Wednesdayite. He's got family that are Wednesdayites. He comes from a lineage of family. Yes. His dad, his granddad, his great-granddad, going all the way back to the 1860s. So he can place them all the way back there. And obviously, being a club that was formed in 1867, the narrative there is that Tommy Craig's family are Sheffield Wednesday from the inception all the way up, and the club is now at risk of sort of going into extinction. And then it gets sort of halfway through, and then he goes to a point where he wants to appeal to the better nature of. And it's almost like that Roy Hodgson moment, isn't it, in the dugouts, the gif in the dugout where he's built you and he's built you and he's built you. And then he goes, Prince William, and you kind of go, and I understand the sentiment, and I get it.
Yes.
And I know you've had a few pelters in the last few weeks about Clive Betts and the local councillors and the MPs and so forth. I understand what he's trying to do, but it just felt to me on a personal level, whether I'm right or wrong, and I might get called out on this, it felt to me like he wanted to appeal without actually knowing enough about what was right in terms of the EFL. The EFL and the FA are separate entities. Mm-hmm. Does he actually hold any power as a patron of the FA to sort of pull and hold any sort of sway with the EFL? The EFL, what we're finding at the moment is that they seem to be quite notoriously difficult to do business with. I don't want to call them self-serving, but let's call them self-serving, because at the end of the day, we're struggling as it sits here right now at sort of 8:45 on Monday night. Morecambe are either just about to go out of business or have gone out of business. And we're very similar.
6 o'clock today. They don't exist as a professional football club anymore. Dave Salmon, the stadium commentator, was saying that it's not over, but as the incarnation of the club is, it's not operating as a football club anymore, and the EFL haven't stopped that.
And that was the point I was about to get to. The EFL are a regulating body for the national sport. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Let's just let that. Their job is to make sure that football is run fit and proper and is as it should be. And everything that you hear coming out of the ground, out of social media and everything else at the moment seems to be that their argument is, well, these people have passed the fit and proper purposes. They've passed all the tests that they need to. They are in a situation where we find them in terms of football ownership, and that means that we can't do anything about it. And whilst people are scratching around, and whether that be asking for businesses around the area of Lancashire and Morecambe to go and help the club out, people have been tapping up Tyson Fury, haven't they? Go and chuck a little bit of pocket money at it to save the club, etc., etc., etc. The bottom line is there is an organisation that oversees everything that should be in a situation to be able to help a club. And I know we're talking about Morecambe, but I feel, are in a very sort of similar situation, not necessarily as stark as that one, but the EFL need to be stepping in and talking to the people that are in and around Sheffield Wednesday to make sure that we don't go any further down the line than we have
Stevie,
already.
I'm just gonna stop you off there because I think you're having a bit of microphone issues as well, my brother. My apologies, but I completely I agree with your point significantly. I found the Prince William comment weird, but I a Sheffield Wednesday fan getting involved and trying to use his public profile to push this forward, I feel was something that I didn't feel like I wanted to mock. However, 3 weeks ago, Dan Fudge would have absolutely lauded the piss out of it. Holly, Jamal Lowers on Sky Television doing can only be described as a Harry Redknapp chat out the side of the car. I think he spoke quite well. Did you see this?
I didn't see it. But I have to say, I guess it takes some balls to just say that's it now, because obviously they will be told not to say anything, and he's just thought it's gone too far. I'm guessing he probably should have stuck to the proper players thing that they've put out today, but but I'm all about it. The like you say, it's a bit Harry Redknapp, but
takes balls.
Yeah, it takes summit, doesn't it, to just go, do you know what? I'm going to have my say on it, regardless of what happens.
It takes balls, and he went on to express his sympathy for the staff at the club who will find out last minute whether they got paid or not as well. So his priorities are right in that. And fair play, J-Lo. I'm a fireball. That's not even a song, but I've got Pitbull in my head now. I needed a song. Right, it's time, and let's get into some juicy stuff here. The players have released a statement saying, and I'm just going to skim read it for you. It says, as has been well publicised, the players, coaching and club staff groups have all been impacted by delayed and overdue payments of salaries. It goes into talking about that it's a worrying time for them and their families. And they've decided that, there's a threat here of a player strike, essentially, that's happening. And, I don't blame them, do you?
No. So what it does allude to is they chose... There was supposed to be a friendly on Saturday against Burnley, and they chose not to play it. They basically that was the we've shown our player power. We've shown what it alludes to me is that they know about as much as what the hell is going on than we do, which is sweet fuck all. These guys don't know what's going on, I think. But what I'm grasping to very tightly is this, and we've spoken about unity and solidarity and the siege mentality. I've already alluded to it tonight, is the fact that we have got a team that are very young, and we've also got a team of leaders. We've got Palmer, we've got Bannan, we've got some good players in there, and I'm hoping that the fact that Bannan staying will persuade other players who there was talk of Max Lowe putting his resignation in, and he was allowed to leave after the 15th of August. I'm hoping that a consummate professional like Bannan shows to the players that actually let's not leave. Let's actually gather force and become one as a Wednesday fan. And I'll go back to OT on yesterday, and I'll go back to tram lines of all the Wednesday shirts we saw and all the retro shirts. This huge coming together. And I'm hoping that will galvanise the players as well. And actually everybody going, oh, well, they're an absolute certainty to go down. What I think it will do is produce a number of players here and young players who will basically put their life on the line for the football club, because it's the football club. And what that statement proves is that they want to play for the fans and the club, not the chairman. And this is what it's all about. It is, and we've already spoken about this, haven't we? About actually, there's a thing bigger than Depson Chansiri, and that is Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. That we are more than the sum of all parts. We are more than that one man. He is just a custodian. He's not a fan. He doesn't get it. He's never got it. It took him 10 years.
He's also a bit of a bell end as well, who's got the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old.
The EFL fit and proper, right? This thing that they keep going back to this, he was fit and proper. So they've said this about numerous owners over the years, if they're fit and proper. Yeah, fine. 10 years ago, may have been fit and proper. Now, he's not, right? So let's not go back 10 years. And this guy who had whatever it was, the tuna books and all this bollocks, right? He is no longer fit to run a football club. Grow some bollocks, EFL, and come in and sort him out. Sort Morecambe out. I've been to Morecambe 3-4 times in my life. Great little club, great little town, out in the middle of nowhere, right? Where those fans are going to go? There'll be fans there who supported them, a 100-year-old club. History gone like that.
Gone.
Because the EFL don't give a shit, right?
And,
Get some balls and go in there and sort it.
Exactly that. I agree with you, Simon. I'm going to play some uplifting music on that when I put the thing out. Steve, it's been a while since I spoke about some comments. Let's see what we've got there, please.
So Jay Blogs has been on. It's the reason the independent football regulator is coming in, obviously talking about the EFL and the powers that they do or don't have. The independent regulator is coming in. The EFL have about as much to say as I do when her indoors is looking at holidays. So Jay's got no power when it comes to going on holiday. Neon Brown, player statement is really clever and well thought through. Application of pressure from the right people at the right time. Every little bit helps. And again, just the last one on the statement there that we've just shared. Very carefully worded that. Says they will continue to train as normal. I think that should be zero mention of turning up to games. Whatever these boys decide to do, I'm behind them 100%. We're all Wednesday, aren't we? And that's stupid.
Me too. Me too. I absolutely love that. You sounded fantastic then, Stevie. I absolutely love that. Holly, I'm going to come to you about Chris Powell. But first, I'm just going to read this out. This is from the North Yorkshire Owls. They've decided to leave the trust. The statement said there's been a couple, I think, Armed Forces Owls as well, didn't they? They left the trust as well. I'll let you read their statements for time, and I don't want to speak on their behalf. That would be wrong. However, excuse me, bit of windy pops. Chris Powell's gone, Holly. Chris Powell's gone, and he released a statement, and I'm absolutely devastated about the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm. For some reason, I just thought that he might stay, but yeah. He absolutely came. I know we've mentioned about a few other people, but like he came at a bad time and made it better. And I think he sort of, it was a lot to do with Danny understanding the fans as well at the time. He sort of he sort of summed it up quite nicely and brought everybody in on what they were trying to do. So I suppose in that way he sort of had to go at the same time, but I'm absolutely, It's not been a few weeks of good news at all.
No, it's not. The heel kicks I'm going to miss. And Chris Powell as a manager when he's managed in the EFL, I remember him managing Charlton and things like that. Didn't really set the world on fire, but as a coach and as a personality to have around any football club. And I tell you what he did for me, it was when as a football fan, you can win and you go, yeah, we've done a win. That's great. But when he did those heel kicks around the pitch and he's pushing the captain towards the crowd to take all their plaudits and things like that, it made me more appreciative of an away win. For example, I don't know why. I was just like, what a day. And like when we went to Pompey away and we were going 3 points away. And I was away. And Chris Powell was part of that celebration, and I feel like a character like that, I feel like we're really going to miss.
There's some people that have just got it in the blood, football, and he seems like the kind of guy who would watch any football. He'd be walking down the street and there's a Sunday league game and he'd stop and he'd love it. I just feel like he just really, really gets it, doesn't he? So it'll be a shame, yeah.
It really does. It really does. Now, last few moments, just before we do a bit of self-flagellation, I also need to just change tone a little bit. Alan Finney did pass away at 91. 91 is a hell of an innings. Alan, you played for the club for 14 years and is third in the all-time appearance list. Fair play, Mr. Finney. And my thoughts go out to your friends and family. Although I feel that you probably outlived a lot of them, Alan, and fair play to you, sir. I know I'm being flippant, but I genuinely mean it. It's a sad day. And then Also perceived as somewhat sad as well. Jerry Gassama scored again for Rangers in the second league, and then Anthony Masaba then scored for Samsung Sport for his new club. Josh Windass started a game for Wrexham, and watching him run around in a red shirt with United written on the front gives me the absolute mug on. So let's talk about something fun, Stevie. Let's talk about something nice.
Did you see the Pato one? The Pato came on for Milton Keynes, and it said on the live text, it said Callum Patterson runs the length of the pitch to block a Oldham counter attack, and I was like, that's him, all right.
I'd have been ugly crying. But let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about a positive note. I don't want to talk about you guys as Sheffield Wednesday fans. Things that, it's been a tumultuous summer, and this was something we wanted to do, to just have a few pints with some of you guys, and it turned into something a lot bigger than I anticipated. It was, of course, Fudge Fest 2020.
No,
it wasn't, of course,
Daniel.
It was, of course, Owls in the Yard. I didn't know what this was going to be. I didn't know what we were going to do, because Owls in the Park was cancelled, and rightly so. And we had, Sam's got a great relationship with Martin at the Steel Yard, and we thought, let's do something, let's get something together. And it built and built and built, and more ideas and more things came in, and stuff like that. And I was genuinely overwhelmed by the attendance of you lot. And there's little Ash there. Look at Ash covering up your face there, Holly, on that picture there.
Yeah, yes, completely.
We had the best part of 1,000 people there yesterday, and I personally speaking, I think it went great. Looking back, there are some bits I changed. Get better microphones, Fudge, for F's sake. We had Lee Bullen on stage talking very, very well, and the best thing about Lee Bullen and Lee Gregory being there as well was that they they kind of worked the room a little bit, didn't they? I mean, you interviewed him, Steve. You tell me all about it. I mean, look at this picture here. It looks like you're squaring up of a picture of Lee Gregory behind you on the screen.
What's he saying? Look at Ash's face. What is he saying?
And Ash looks like he's about to knock out Lee Gregory as well. But I mean, give me your experiences of it, Stevie. Give me yours.
The interviewing those two was
just in general, just the whole day, brother.
Hey. Where do you even begin to start? And I'll go back. I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. You mentioned it, and we'd sat down. I think we'd done a pod, and I think it was just us three on here after we'd finished recording. And we said, right, what's it going to be? What do we want it to look like? How many people do you think we can get? And once we realised that the sort of the size of the venue, we went, if we can get 300, 350 people there, we reckon that's ballpark where the first forum at Wadsley, that's how many people went up there. If we can get anything in and around that on a family day, that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And then in the run-up, the last week, we chased the band, we chased the vendors, we managed to get little bits here and there, and it all just started coming together. And then on the day itself yesterday, I think we'd spent so much time as a group getting things in order. It ran really well. And I think we stressed for nothing. We're always going to get
much to Holly's annoyance. I have pissed Holly off the last month so hard, because I let all of you. I've been really bad lazy. Let me just, like he says, pull down the curtain. I've drip fed information to each of them just to focus on one task, because sometimes this lot's like herding bloody pandas. And
you're the
Holly,
worst. I don't know how you dare.
You just disappear with a microphone and a blue sparkly jacket.
The thing with it was, I think, when we booked it, it was the fans like to have Owls in the Park before the season, get together and just have a moment to be with other fans. And that's what it was going to be. And then every single day between that point and actual Owls in the Yard was so much bad Wednesday stuff that it kind of got to a point where you thought, this ain't going to land at all. But so many people on the day said, this is what we needed. We needed to just be around other people that are feeling this.
Yeah, there was a lot of gallows humour and a lot of conversations about it's bad, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? And they did that with other Wednesday fans.
We got some pelters on Thursday, Friday, where people were, and I think that we need to, and we'll do it again now. We need to tell people We are not Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. We are not Wednesday. We are not representing Sheffield Wednesday.
It's a nice way of putting it, Stevie. We were getting pelters from Facebook mums who thought we were the club putting on owls in the park, and they just read part of the headline.
Facebook Dars.
Facebook Dars.
Is the money going to Chansiri? Is Daypan Chansiri going to get any of this money? It's so distasteful. It's out of order. It's blah, blah, blah.
The money's going to Oscar Owl and paying the band. That's who
I have to say, right, me and Fudge had an hour conversation, and the whole thing was like some kids that have just had too many fruit shoots on eBay or wherever. Let's buy this owl mascot costume. And we just hyped each other up like crazy to get this owl.
Nobody will ever know who was in that owl, by the way. Nobody will ever know.
I think it's a real owl.
Ever know.
I think Stevie's ruined the kayfabe on that. In a really fun way. I kind of enjoyed it. What about you, Si? Good day for you?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously you booked the venue, and then we sort of came in as worker bees, didn't we, on the day? And we got the place set up, and it looked really good, and the balloons were up. Ash had a bit of a titty fit about the balloons, putting the balloons up, and then we moved the tables and got all the cars and the vans out of the way, and sort of. And then we just sort of stood there, and you've been mic checking, and the band came in, and there was a bit of whoa, they're not bringing any drums. And we were like, why is the band not bringing drums?
And then the geezer come with some drums.
Drums, yeah. And then the most important thing was free drinks. We got free drinks. And
if you couldn't tell by some people that are on this now deteriorating as the day went.
Yeah, I was driving, so it wasn't me. And then it didn't dawn on me the actual how big it was until the fans started walking in. And what really, I was part of the welcoming committee, and I was like, and the amount of fans that came up to me and shook my hand as they walked in, like everybody shaking hands, and it's brilliant what you're doing, and that was quite moving. And then Lee Gregory, I sort of stood to one side behind the stage, we're taking some photos. And my mate, AD, who's not on the podcast, but comes and helps us out, doesn't he, on numerous things. And he said, just look at everybody here. And he pointed to the balcony that runs around like an L shape, all watching Steve and Ash interviewing Lee Gregory. And at that point, I welled up because it was just like immense.
Yeah,
What have we done?
What have we done? And everybody keeps commenting about doing it again next year. Now, apologies for that last 5 minutes. It was a bit self-congratulatory, but I wanted to say it out loud because I can't thank you guys enough. I think, before we came on air tonight, we were talking about, have you had your overwhelmed moment yet where you sit with a glass of wine and start scrolling through some of the pictures? And it's not pictures of us. I mean, pictures of you and some pals that you've been talking to on Twitter for a long time, and people who put in names to faces and things like that. It was genuinely overwhelming to see. If you do have any feedback, if we got something slightly wrong, and and I know it's Dan Fudge never rarely ask for feedback. I'm going to give you a brief opportunity here to send us an email on.
Do it.
Send me an email in. I've just realised that I've just deleted Simon Stevie. But if you get on that QR code, it's got our email address on it on X. So if you send us an email, any feedback you've got, by all means send it to us. I had the best time, and I am genuinely struggling right now. Big up the Blue Hooch.
And Eric the dog was there, who's the real celebrity.
He was. He had a great Wednesday bandana on, didn't he? I met him when he came in. I was jealous. I should have brought Reggie, my dog, down with his Wednesday collar on. So,
that's my feedback. More dogs.
More dogs, please.
Yeah.
More dogs. I tell you what we'll do. If we do it next year, Stevie, we'll take a look at when Tramlines is, if Owls in the Park is on. That's normally end of July, isn't it, or end of June?
End of June.
Yeah, so if we can try and make it work early August, the week before the season start again, we'll see if we can make that work. Listen, There's a lot of shit happening. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've only scratched the surface of the 9 pages of notes that Stevie's lovingly put together for us. And I wanted to say thank you once again for coming down on Sunday, and thank you for sharing the posts and engaging with the people we brought there as well. Yardball being there. Big shout out to Wednesday who have had a tumultuous few months, and they still turned out, and Bowlers Brass turned up, and when we're here, we're still supporting the fans. I thought that was top bollocks of them. Tom Burton, I think we've now got him a shop big enough so he can quit his actual job. His handle is Chef Tom Burton. It's just going to be Tom Burton by the end of the month. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. But listen, thanks a lot for joining us. Does anybody have anything else to add?
No, I just want to say thank you for everybody who came yesterday. The love was amazing. And the comments today, and there was a photograph that you guys put up, and I'm at the front talking to Blair, and Holly's talking.
It's a wonderful picture of you two.
Laughing my tits off, and so is Holly. And that's the day that we had. And I don't think there's a fan who walked out of there yesterday who didn't have a good time.
Do you know what? It just proved that the best thing about this club is the fans.
Fans, 100%.
The absolute best thing.
Amazing.
We're the best ones.
Thank you
We're
so
the best
much.
ones. All right. I'm going to leave that on a soppy note. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
They said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you banter.
I don't think anybody wants to listen to my boring anecdotes.
Why not? You've been doing it for 4 years on this show.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This Joe's like, you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble, wobble, wobbly, wobble, wibble, wobble, Cyber Jordan. Hey, pay your bills. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday week. Join us.
Put that on your pod